Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. This is live stream 660. Yowza. 660 live streams. You people aren't sick of me yet? Oh, I'm sure plenty of people are sick of me out there. Anyway, if this is your first time visiting, let me point out, I break the show up into kind of two halves. The first half, we talk about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then the second half, I share a first look at a gaming product. Now, it might be a board game, role-playing game, card game, miniature game, you name it. What's going on your tabletop? We are taking a peek at it. Tonight, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Barbarossa, which is from Arclight Games and Japanimation, or I should say Japanime Games. Why did I start saying Japanimation? It is also from Kamikaze Games. So I know you can get it from Japanime Games, but I don't believe that they were part of the development process. So, but we will dive in. We will be taking a look at that later on. Of course, do want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live right here on YouTube Monday through Thursday nights. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Battle of the Bulge 1944 from Worthington Publishing. Enjoyed it. And if you are looking for a lightweight World War II game to introduce non-war gamers to the hobby, might want to take a peek. All right. And of course, when you are not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. I'm telling you, if you don't visit the website, you are missing out on a lot of stuff. But you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And lastly, this is a live stream. So that also means chat is available. It's not on screen. One of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you'd like to say howdy or maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I'll do my best to respond. So Clint Gibson, I believe. No, my apologies. The Motor City Madman was the first out the gate today saying hello in chat, followed by Clint Gibson. We've got Disavowed 92, Melwinius from York is with us as well. JP Felconer. Honor. It's like an echo. It's just honor. Is with us as well. So welcome aboard, everybody. And the Madman says they're not sick of me just yet, but there's still time. Oh, yes, there's still time. At some point, I'll pontificate about something, and you'll go, oh, enough. Oh, I can't stand this guy anymore. How can he say that about that game? So I do want to thank the Madman for being the first to buy me a cup of coffee. That's right. I had mentioned a few times. I'll mention it once a show. Not going to go overboard with it. But if you like what the Gaming Gang does, if you like the website or you dig the channel or even this live stream, buy me a cup of coffee or some Diet Right, which is kind of my soda of choice if I can find it. And if you go to thegaminggang.com, you will see there is like a little banner ad. It's like a sidebar ad. And it's got a soldier with that cup of Joe. Says if you like the Gaming Gang, buy Jeff a cup of Joe. That's just a PayPal me web link. That's all. Anyway, so big thanks to the Madman jumping on in there. Always appreciate it. I will say, I will give shout outs to people if you do that. I am going to do my best to try to find some way to do some sort of giveaways. I don't know. Maybe if it'll be like an entry for every $1 or something along those lines. But I do want to do some giveaways as well. So JPF, I think it'll be easier for me to just refer to them as JPF, says they'll buy me a tab or a Fresca. Oh, I remember tab was pretty bad because if I remember, tab had saccharin. I think Fresca had saccharin too. I had Fresca once, and it was sort of like a very bland sort of 7-Up-ish. But I had tab one time, and I was like, oh, this is awful. God awful. Oh, that was probably late 70s because I was a kid. Ugh. Oh. I can barely drink my Diet Right thinking about it. All right, got a lot going on tonight. I got a good bunch of news. So first up, I am going to share some Kickstarter news. Those of you who have followed the Gaming Gang channel, and specifically these live streams, may see something that will totally ring a bell, and you'll be like, oh my gosh. So I'll see if somebody mentions it in chat. Anyway, there is a new family game that is up for crowdfunding. I've got the scoop on CATastrophe. Dun, dun, dun. Do you have it what it takes to be the top cat in this 2 to 6 player family game? You'll be clawing your way to victory at every turn to be crowned the ultimate champion. But be careful, it's no catwalk. Catastrophic events will have you competing in exciting mini games. When the going gets tough, you can rely on Power Cats to come to your aid. Power Cat cards depict some of your favorite cats from around the world. A game as wild and unpredictable as cats themselves. Your goal is to survive the chaotic mayhem. You're eliminated when you lose all 9 of your lives or meet the Grim Reaper. Be the last player standing, and you win. There's a Kickstarter video. It runs about 3 minutes. And I will be the first to point out, this is one of those kind of Kickstarter videos that seems to be more concerned with coming across as being clever than enticing you into buying the game. You'll know what I mean. Anyway, regardless, let's give it a peek.
I'm so bored.
Let's watch Cats again.
No.
CATastrophe's arrived.
Oh no, what happened?
No, CATastrophe the board game.
Ooh. I don't remember buying this. Do you?
I didn't buy this.
Weird.
Ready for a game that'll have you feeling good? CATastrophe is a game as unpredictable as cats themselves. Each cat has 9 lives. Outlive your formidable foes to win, unless you're all destroyed by me, the Grim Reaper.
Cucumber?
Choose from 8 awesome characters.
I'm Lil Bub.
I'm the kitten.
I'm Grandpa Cat.
It's a game of unexpected twisting turns.
I survived.
Pause! What?
I lost a life.
Each turn ends with a CATastrophe card, featuring catastrophic mini-games like Yarn Tower of Terror, Game of Meows,
Meow.
Jurassic Park,
What the?
Eye of the Tiger,
Meow.
Meow. Meow.
and dozens more. Plus, play power cat cards that grant special abilities, inspired by real famous cats.
Meow maid. I'll take that, and I'll take that.
But don't let me catch you,
Grim Reaper.
or you're out. Ooh, a box. CATastrophe, a game of 9 lives, available now only on Kickstarter.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh.
And I'm Abby.
And we're the creators of CATastrophe. We've been working passionately on this project for the past 4 years and have enlisted top talent and experienced board game developers to help bring this game to life. Our greatest desire is for this game to create lots of fun and laughter for you, your friends, and your family.
We are so excited about bringing this project into the world, but we can't make this happen without your support. So please back our project and help make this game a reality. Thank you.
CATastrophe is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. This project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the game for a $29 pledge through June 4th, with an expected delivery slated for April of next year. So there you've got it. So Disavowed says, Cat Munchkin? That's not really the vibe I get from it. But I'm a big cat fan, and I'm surprised nobody noticed what I was talking about from the early days of the stream. Wait for it. I bet you a Gray Day would have gotten it. I think a Gray Day or Flaming Huron might. So on the far left, that's Lil Bub, the famed Lil Bub, who unfortunately has passed on to the great beyond. But on early episodes of, this is back when it was the Daily Dope, I used to always share a little PSA about Lil Bub's big fund at the ASPCA. So when I saw Lil Bub was in this game, her likeness, I was like, okay, I'll share this news. Okay, let's move on. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, that video, me personally, I thought it was just a little odd. It's one of those videos, at least in my opinion, right? And I'm not knocking the game. It's just you can tell those were not gamers in that video. And like I said, it was a video that seemed like it was more concerned with trying to be clever than actually promoting the game. Although we did get to see the game in action a little bit. Moving right along, there is a new mini expansion available for One Deck Dungeon that's going to be hitting stores very shortly from Asmadi Games. Here's what I know about Abyssal Depths. New and dangerous fiends have appeared and now make every dungeon even more of a challenge to conquer. In this expansion to One Deck Dungeon, new fiend cards will harass you from the moment you step foot on the first floor right up until you face the boss. First floor, when we say first level, it's like, we're at the first floor of the dungeon retail outlet. Each fiend has its own unique effects, and you'll have to divert some of your valuable dice to combat its threats during every encounter. It's not all bad news, though. Every time you push back the fiend, you'll gain a valuable point of healing and a heroic die. One Deck Dungeon, Abyssal Depths, is a new mini expansion for One Deck Dungeon. It adds 6 new fiend cards and 3 new heroes, which can be used with either One Deck Dungeon or its standalone expansion, Forest of Shadows. The new rules for fiends give players a fresh new way to explore the dungeons and is full of tactical and strategic choices to be made about how they'll tackle the new threats. One Deck Dungeon is a card game roguelike, if you are not familiar with the game, a dungeon delve that is different every time, difficult to survive, with a character you build up from scratch. The deck consists of various foes to combat and other perils from the dungeon. Each card, though, depicts both the obstacle to overcome and the potential rewards for doing so. When you defeat a card, you claim it as either experience, an item, or a skill, tucking it under the appropriate side of your character card to show its benefits. The longer you take exploring the dungeon, the deeper you'll delve, and the difficulty will scale up quickly. If you make it far enough, you'll have to fight the dungeon boss. Survive, and you'll be a legend. One Deck Dungeon, Abyssal Depths, is for 1 or 2 players. Obviously enough, you need one of the 2 core games to play. It's for ages 14 and up. Plays around 30 to 45 minutes. Carries an MSRP of $8. When it arrives, I believe it is supposed to arrive this month. I've heard good things about One Deck Dungeon. I have never played it. I've never seen it up close. I know very little about Asmadi Games, except for the fact that I know Elliot used to always mistake Asmadi Games for Asmodee. Because if I remember, he might actually have One Deck Dungeon. He may have picked it up. So the madman asks, Jeff, you had a little bub stuffed cat on your shelf, didn't I? Did I? Well, I'll tell you what. I still do. It's Lil Whiz Bub. I have a much larger stuffed Lil Bub that sits up above. If you notice, I've got the little tentacle cat. That's what that black thing is behind me up top with the green eyes and the little green ears. That is a tentacle kitty. So there's a cat with little tentacle legs. It's very Lovecraftian. And above that is, it's about this big. That big. I was just, supporting the charity that. I mean, Plus, I thought the cat was very, very cute and had a really, really wild story. That cat was it. What did it? I think she lived something like 7 or 8 years, and they expected that cat wouldn't last weeks when they found it. So, kind of cool, very cool. I know. I'm a dork. What can I tell you? All right. I got another news piece about a Kickstarter. It's a pretty interesting looking world book, fantasy book it's basically fantasy places. It is currently up for crowdfunding. Here's the latest about the Atlas of Fantastic Worlds. The bravest cartographers have been gathered to be part of this adventure. Discover what lies beyond our boundaries. In search of uncharted lands, they departed, leaving everything behind. While many never returned, others came back loaded with tales and treasures. The Atlas of Fantastic Worlds is the product of their discoveries. The Atlas contains 18 unique worlds, each created by a different illustrator. The artist's graphic styles are willingly varied to offer a greater diversity. Calm and quiet, dangerous, eerie, a setting for all tastes. Each world is introduced by a short illustrated text displayed either as anecdotes, stories of significant events, tales, or even poems. Maps of different scales, world, region, cities, etc., enrich the presentations and bring them to life. From the isolated village to the gigantic world, through by a building slice plan, the authors will stop at nothing to describe their worlds to the last detail. To match the grimoire touch of the Atlas, each universe will take place within the framework of medieval fantasy. No spaceships or cell phones. We want torches and wooden beams. This Atlas is by no means only for role-playing game players. Above all, it is designed to be a beautiful piece of art aimed at anyone who enjoys illustration, cartography, travel, and adventure. There's a short Kickstarter video. You will get a much better look at what is lying in store for you with the Atlas of Bum 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 Fantastic Worlds.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the Atlas of Fantastic Worlds. Lucky are the ones who have set their eyes upon this book. Wars were begun even just for a rumor of its location. Kings, heroes and magicians like myself have put their full powers to get their hands on it. Great assassins and thieves had been sent to get it. All of this for a book, you might think. Well, this is more than just a book. It is the doorway to multiple worlds, a key for priceless treasures. Courageous cartographers who have entered the legend have risked their lives to bring back stories and drawn maps of those incredible lands. Like this island, lost in the middle of the sea, ruled by harpies. Cities, built upon giant graves. Life in a dangerous desert where boats can fly. Lands where you have to be careful if you don't want to cross the path of a dinosaur or a giant made of wood. Be careful. Some of those worlds can even be dangerous for your sanity. Ha! 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 You see, everything can be a world. Even this fruit. But it's not the end of it yet. This book is also a tool for the ones who seek to play a role-playing game. It will show you how to play, how to improve your games. It is a wonderful tool for creativity and imagination. This is the Atlas of Fantastic Worlds, and it's your only chance to get it. Do it. Do it now. Buy 2 or 3 if you can. Tell your friends, your family, or don't tell anyone, and buy them all for yourself. Yes, just for you. Only on Kickstarter.
The project for the Atlas of Fantastic Worlds is, I believe it was right on the cusp of funding. It may have funded since I put this news piece together. You can reserve a copy of the book in PDF for a $25 pledge or in hardcover for a $60 pledge through May 23rd. The expected delivery for this is this November. Gotta say, this looks kind of interesting, especially if you're into cartography and getting the old, especially game masters out there, getting the old creative juices flowing by looking at various artwork. I've always been somebody like that. So this is something you might want to check out. And if it funds, I will actually get a review copy and we'll be able to take a closer look if it were to fund. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to some other more in-depth role-playing game news. Because arriving this week from Pinnacle Entertainment Group is the box set for Deadlands, The Weird West. Here's the deets. Welcome to the Weird Wild West. Well, maybe I should I do my one of my kind of like, yeah. Oh, the Madman says Atlas of Fantastic Worlds is at 65% right now. Yeah, I think it launched pretty recently. All right, here we go. The year is 1884. Folks from all over the world journey to the American frontier in search of opportunity, freedom, and wide open spaces. But danger awaits. Some say there are more than just wild creatures on these lonely trails. Some say they are monsters, creatures born of the darkest fears, given life by some insidious and overwhelming evil. Out here, night seems a little darker, the distance between towns a little farther, and something changes the very landscape itself. Such tough times also create great heroes, rising across the West to fight evil's cold grip with a trusty six-gun, sacred tomahawk, holy miracle, or arcane hex. Think you got what it takes to join them, amigo? Deadlands is the premier Weird West role-playing game of action-packed horror. It includes all the edges, gear, infernal devices, and powers players need to blast the tarnation out of those creepy crawlies. For the Marshal, that's the game master, there's a comprehensive overview of the Weird West, an adventure generator, and enough rascals, varmints, and critters to keep a posse busy till doomsday. This box set includes Deadlands, the Weird West core rule book, which clocks in at 192 pages. There's the Game Master screen. Game Master? What? How come they didn't call it a Marshall screen? That's what they call the Game Master. Plus, the Showdown at Sundown adventure by Rob Wieland. There's a set of 25 bennies, a set of 7 dice, and a wild die. A poster map of the Weird West, a set of 12 archetype cards, a set of 12 power cards, adventure cards, infernal device cards, Herald cards, ammo counters, and PDFs are included if you order this box set from Pinnacle Entertainment itself. You can score just the core book if you'd like in PDF. It's available over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. Sweet. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this new edition of Deadlands. It was the Madman's got to help me out with this, because the Madman is actually our resident Savage Worlds expert. But if I remember correctly, I think this was a Kickstarter that did pretty well for Pinnacle Entertainment Group. So I have to say, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Deadlands. And this goes way back to when it first came out. And this was one of the games that every time you turned around, there was a new splat book for. Had new splat books, you had the dime novels, and this was another game that was like Vampire the Masquerade, that was like forcing product off the gaming store shelves because there was so much of it. So that's the kind of But on the flip side, I think it's a very cool setting. I used to pick up a bunch of the Deadlands stuff myself. And the funny thing is, I never ran it. Never once ran a game of Deadlands. But I had core rule books, I had setting books, I had those dime novel adventures. So I know the Madman runs it's the North Texas. It's kind of like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Savage Worlds setting. So that's why I always say that he's our resident Savage Worlds expert, because he kind of follows up on all that. All right. So Flaming Huron and Casey Board Gamers have joined us in chat. Hello. Howdy. Welcome back. We got both of our chat moderators hanging out with us tonight. So Flaming Heron says, oh, so this is a new edition. Got the Deadland bundles a few years ago. Really enjoyed them. Yes, this is the brand new edition. I got to be honest, I'm not positive what changes have been made. So I don't know. And the Madman says it is East Texas University. Thank you. I I knew it was a Texas University thing. I almost said South Texas. And I'm like, no, that isn't it. I know that's not right. So Flaming Heron says that they were a fan of the Deadlands classic books, which, yes, those are the originals I remember picking up. And at that time, I mean, this was just a completely new. I don't even remember there being any kind of like Weird West sort of, role-playing games. I think Deadlands was really the first. All right. In fact, maybe I'm wrong, but I think, if I remember correctly, I think Deadlands is kind of what created Savage Worlds. All righty. So I got one last news piece. There's a new adventure available from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Here's a skinny on Something Knocking. Yes, so don't come knocking if something's rocking. The Empire is a sea of trees and wilderness, punctuated by all too seldom islands of civilization and security. Its roads are winding, muddy tracks, plagued by bandits and worse. No wonder, then, that most who can afford it travel by river barge, and the waterways of the Reichland are alive with trade, travel, crime, and adventure. Most major settlements of the Empire are built upon the banks of one of the great rivers that flow through the nation. Together, these rivers form an extensive network tying the vast empire together. Something Knocking takes place on just such an artery of trade and trouble. A band of pirates have been the cause of a great deal of trouble along a stretch of the river, and strange phenomenon has been linked to their activities. The characters may have to form an unlikely alliance and dip into the murky waters of folklore and magic to solve a mystery and bring the reavers to justice. In the early sections of the Enemy Within campaign, the characters spent a great deal of time navigating the wide and majestic. And here I was just thinking to myself, wow, I have gotten through this show pretty good without stumbling over words. I just thought of that about 5 seconds before I just said, what was it, majestic? So the players spent a great deal of time navigating the wide and majestic Reich. And there is plenty of opportunity for GMs to run short scenarios set on a waterway. This scenario would be perfect to play during Death on the Reich, with the review coming out this weekend from me, or as the characters travel between Altdorf and Bogenhofen during Enemy in Shadows. It also works perfectly well as a standalone adventure or for use as part of an ongoing campaign that's set in the Reichland. The 20-page PDF is available over at Drive-Thru RPG for $3.99. Good to see some love coming Wifrip's way, because we have seen quite a bit of the Soulbound releases. We've had the Bestiary, we've had some adventures come out, and of course, yes, granted, Death on the Reich and the Death on the Reich companion, I should say, both books are going to be arriving in print very soon. Thankfully, I got my copies early so I can share my reviews with you. So, pretty cool. Glad to see a new adventure. I don't know if I'll get to see this in PDF or not. Sometimes Cubicle 7 will send me stuff, and sometimes they don't. It's kind of odd. I mean, in PDF, I mean. Maybe that's okay. I don't expect everything that they release to come my way. All right, that is it for the news tonight. As I was wrapping up, the last two items I did mention Drive-Thru RPG. And of course, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, and I are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I'll get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters certainly do add up. There are quite a few people who actually use those links, and I definitely really appreciate that. So we will jump into Barbarossa in just a couple of moments. Do want to mention I had my appointment downtown today, downtown Chicago. And, of course, I live out in the far suburbs, so I took the train in. I decided no, I wasn't going to drive this time. And I'm going to have to wait months for this oral surgery. In fact, I'm not even going to have a consultation with the oral surgery department until August. I guess they are that slammed. Pretty wild. Anyway, so I was a little bummed. I was like, I was hoping to try to get this done sooner rather than later. But it is what it is. So, don't have to worry about missing any shows for a while. So the Madman points out, definitely use the drive-through link from the Gaming Gang website. Doesn't cost you anything and helps the show. That's right. Doesn't cost you anything. It's not like they're tacking on an extra nickel to your purchase. Certainly not happening there. All right. Other thing I want to mention. So I saw the announcement. This has nothing gaming related, but I saw people losing their minds online about this. That Warner Brothers has announced that their next Superman movie will feature an African-American Superman. And people are going bonkers. Now, yes, you know what? I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought he was pretty good. There's some people out there who really disliked his performance. It's Superman. That's tough. I mean, yeah, Christopher Reeves was great in the first two movies. But Superman's a tough act to pull off. I thought he was fine. So all these people are just flipping out. It's like I've mentioned this before. We do not own these characters. Just like I've mentioned it before when Dan Slott got death threats, multiple death threats, because he killed Peter Parker off and replaced him with the spirit of Dr. Octopus. And it's like, did you really think Peter Parker was going to stay dead? How many times did they so they killed Captain America once after the Civil War. And then Steve Rogers came back to life. And then he lost the super soldier serum. So he became an old man. And it's like, come on. So Flaming Huron points out exactly what I think. Vote with your wallet. That's it. And to me, I think this is kind of something doesn't smell right with this decision, especially with all the nonsense that we're learning about that Ray Fisher had to put up with on the set of Justice League. It's just, there's something. To me, it's almost like, okay, and I'm not going to go on a rant. I am just going to float this out there. It's almost like, you always have that, you always run across that one person who's like, I can't be racist. I have a black friend. It's like, yeah, it seems to be like Warner Brothers doing this right now, right? So Mel Winnie says, honestly, there are a lot of black superheroes in the DC and Marvel universe. Why change a hero if you have like 50 at your disposal? I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Just like when they mess around with the Fantastic Four, and it's like, what? I happen to know some people who they're not in the comic industry, but they work for comic shops who were totally against an African American Nick Fury. And I was like, well, but the Ultimates, that Nick Fury, that artwork is all based on Samuel L. Jackson. It's not the other way around. I was like, that doesn't bother me. So Clint says Calvin Ellis, not Clark Kent. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I get it. I'm right. I'm right with you on that. Like I said, people are just going nuts about it. And it's like, you don't have a say. That's the whole thing. And why get upset about it? It's not real. This isn't real. And I'm as big a dork as anybody out there, right? I watch my goofy stuff. I'm not goofy. You know what I mean. I'll sit there and watch 1990s Godzilla movies during, Saturday afternoon. It's been, multiple times I've seen these movies. So I get it. But to get worked up, and yes, I understand, it's also internet outrage, which, how outraged could people really be? Although I'm sure there's some. Anyway, so the Madman says, my take, why not create a new character, make the character iconic on its own? Once again, something else I also agree with. So, I think part of that is also that Warner Brothers sees what Marvel has done. It's like, I'll give you a great example. There were people who were upset that Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. But that's from the comics. Granted, Bucky Barnes became Captain America. Once again, we're going back. I hope I'm not spoiling anything because Civil War is from 15 years ago. So, but Bucky Barnes took up the mantle of Captain America, and then Sam Wilson took it up. So, I mean, it's comic book continuity. So, but there were people who were upset. Oh, Captain America. It was like, oh, I hated that show preaching at me. Really? I didn't find it preaching at me. I thought it was pretty good. But then again, I was always a big fan of the Ed Brubaker run on Captain America. I thought it was great. Although Ed's kind of a jerk, to be honest. Anyway, so Melwinia says, yeah, they agree with the Madman saying, why not just create a character? Just create. Flaming Heron says, damn, I was just about to watch it. Not the movie, the comic. They don't kill Captain America in the movies. Oh, boy, I tell you. So Melwinia says that the Madman should watch Godzilla versus Kong. You get what you expect. For good and bad. It's like some of the Godzilla movies. It's like, all right, skipping ahead. I don't know what it was. And we see that too with the Americanized version, the Legendary Pictures version of Godzilla. How about showing more of Godzilla? Sort of like, and the Japanese would do that too. They'd focus the Godzilla movie on some Japanese mutants because the X-Men was hot at that time. I remember I think there were a couple of storylines where they had this flying tank that fired a freeze ray. It's like, I don't give a shit about that. I've been watching this for 30 minutes. How about popping Godzilla out? Oh, they're worth a laugh, though. If anybody's ever checked it out, I know here in the U.S., a lot of people pronounce it Gamera, but it's actually Gamera, the turtle. I think they did two. I didn't see the second one, but the first that they did, like the reboot, I think this is probably early 2000s, was actually damn good. So the Madman's actually talking about Gamera movies. Yes, like MST3K, who in that episode, they actually mentioned the company that Elliot used to work for, Raytheon. All right, enough of the babbling on. So, anyway, I'm just basically all I'm saying, I don't understand why people get all upset about this stuff. Then again, maybe if you're, a clan member, it would piss you off, but I don't know. Anyway, we're taking a look at Barbarossa, which is from Arclight Games, Kamikaze Games, and Japanime Games. I believe you can get it through Japanime Games. You can also get it on Amazon. It is designed by Atsuo Yoshizawa. My apologies. I'm sure that's nowhere close. The game is for 2 to 5 players. Age is 13 and up. This is the historical photograph edition. The first edition had this fan service German girls, weird anime crotch shots and heaving bosoms and stuff like that. This doesn't. So, plays in around 60 minutes. It carries an MSRP of $49.99. I will mention that you can get it far, far less through online retailers and Amazon, because we're going to switch cameras. This is Barbarossa. It is a card box, as you can see, and I don't have monster hands, right? I'd be like $50. I'd be like, what? All right. So JPF says, I was intrigued by the gameplay when it was on Kickstarter, but the anti-graphics made it look too weird for my tastes. I would have been embarrassed playing it. Yes, I have seen some of the images. There's no actual nudity because we already know that the Japanese have kind of a hang up with hair south of the equator. So, but it was still, I'll be the first to point out, excuse my French, everybody, but it's not going to be an F-bomb. I don't need jerk off material with my tabletop games. That's just not a chocolate peanut butter moment for me. Sorry. Flaming Heron says, with less anime girls. I looked this up the other day, and the first one I got directed to was that. Yeah, there. Like I said, I saw some of the images from the cards, and I was like, "What the?" It's like, no. So we've got kind of a card listing here. Plus, I was going to say the animation or anime, I should say, edition of this is kind of an oddball where it's like German cuties who are, attacking Russia. It's like, okay. So what do we got here? It says, conquer Moscow with your squadrons of soldiers. You will lead a fictitious Third Reich army. So here it says, the weebs need a game, Jeff. But I'm laughing at this. You lead a fictitious Third Reich army. Of course it is. Jeez. As you attempt to penetrate deep into Russia, the heart of Moscow is the target, but it won't be easy. Gather your troops, manage your supply chain, and create daring strategies, and you may be able to reach your goal. You begin the war with meager forces, barely able to fight, but your supply chain is strong, and through recruitment, you will soon have many grenadiers, tanks, officers, and infantry units at your command. Use these recruited cards to bolster your front line. Use your front line to conquer strategic positions, occupy Russian cities, and finally, march on Moscow. All right. those of you who might be interested, and I know we're looking at one game, and I'm going to mention another one. If you have not checked out Spearpoint, Frontline General Spearpoint 1942, I think there's a 43 that Byron Collins did. Good stuff. And I kind of get the impression here that you are actually all fighting together to invade Russia. I do not think you've got a Russian player in this. All right, so we're going to take a look at the rules, and then we will kind of take a look at some of the cards. So we've got tactic points, supply points, draw points, reinforcement points, attack points, and victory points. So talking about the cards themselves. So we have unit cards. Oh, I'm sorry. Supply cards, army cards, and strategy cards. So we've also got support cards, event cards, site cards. So those must be where the cities we're attacking happen to be. Setting up the game. Oh, it looks like it's going to take a bit of space. So we have various different piles of cards there. Talking about areas, playing cards, and keywords. As I had mentioned before, I had heard the gameplay to this is actually pretty good. So JPF is talking about the other edition of Barbarossa, saying, "Oh, that's why the cards were laminated." All right. It's not turning into one of those kind of shows. So we have phases of the turn: starting phase, tactics phase, combat step, reinforcement phase, and cleanup. Game end. Once a player conquers Moscow, the game ends. After that turn's tactic phase. So everybody adds up their victory points in their front line. Now it looks like victory points from all their stuff. Whoever's got the most is the winner. Winner, chicken dinner. So we've got examples of card abilities, deploying cards. Would have been nice to have seen some images in here. So, non-hentai images. So we get an example of play to wrap up with. And I think this kickstarted originally. In fact, I think somebody just mentioned that in chat. Said when they saw this on Kickstarter, they had considered backing it until they saw the art. And you're like, whoa! All right, let's see what we've got here. So we've got some divider cards. Just plain there. Okay, so we've got some stacks of different cards here. This little space occupier. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of cards. And we have the kind of Iron Cross eagle on this. Might as well zoom all the way in. See what we've got. First of all, let's see what we have as far as the decks. They all have the same backing there. I would have to assume that the cities, the locations are going to have a different backing. I would think. Then again, maybe, this is a deck builder. It's possible maybe that you actually purchase the locations. Viper Dave has joined us. Good to see you, Viper Dave. Usually Viper Dave shows up right at the end of the show. We had someone pop in yesterday. I think they were a first time chatter, I guess we'll say. First time they'd said hello in chat. And I mean, I was literally wrapping up the show. I was like, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. They're like, hey, sorry. Okay, so it looks like they all have the same backs. All right, they do. So we're going to look at some of these. We're not going to look at every single one, but we are going to look at some of this stuff. So we've got Assault Gun Battalion. A few of those. Cardstock's pretty nice. Pretty thick cardstock. So I can't. They should have used a different font. I can read the Tank Battalion, but I think that's heavy. I think it says, heavy Tank Battalion. So we got, they look like they're the same, but they've got some different photography on two of those. Panzer Regiment. Yeah, see, it looks like we might get like two images for the common cards. An SS Panzer Regiment. Kind of surprised that they've got the SS. Some game companies try to shy away from any references to the SS. So we've got Airdrop. Got quite a lot of those. The High Command's Orders. Oh, it's from that scene in Downfall that everybody likes to do memes with. It looks like these are all identical there. Strategic Planning. What else we got here? I think that finishes up that group. But we do have some different art photography with the Strategic Planning as well. I guess we might as well take a look at all of them because we're just going to skip through a bunch of like duplicates here. So, Locomotive Transport. Wouldn't that be mechanized? Or are those all on? No, they're on trains. Okay. Here's the Grenadier Regiments. So Disavowed mentions they also did Alamein. El Alamein. I know because Elliot has that. He was going to do some reviews again for the Gaming Gang, and yes, the historic photo version. Yes, because they did in El Alamein fan service edition as well. Okay, so we've got more battalions there. We've got commandos. Different art for those there. The anti-tank battalions. Like so and like so. Panzer Grenadier Regiment. This could be kind of interesting. I will mention that it looks like the print font is pretty small on these cards. I mean, I can make it out. I can read it. But so JPF asks if this could be sold in Germany because of the SS references. I don't know. And now, of course, we know the swastika is a no-no. But I don't know if just because it's an SS Panzer regiment, I don't know. Horse-drawn transport. So like these cards give like a movement bonus. All of these transport cards. There we go. Got quite a few of these. Oh, there's a lot of these. There's another one. So that is our third image for the horse-drawn. Ah, there we go. Now we got motorized. And should I take a guess? We'll see mechanized. Okay, there's some more locomotive with those. Motorcycle messenger. Message for you, sir. Actually, I should have done the first and then said, message for you, sir. Security company. Okay, so we got artillery battalion. Armored scout battalion. So, yeah, so JPF says it's probably the iconography that would be like the swastika. I mean, but there are still companies out there who will produce games, PC games, tabletop games, and the Nazis are represented with swastika. So I got to be honest, I don't really have a huge, then again, I don't live in Germany. I wasn't even around for World War II, even though some of you might think I was. But I got to be honest, when I'm playing like a historical game and I see some goofy, fake, like German iconography, I don't care for that. I don't like that. So, I mean, it's one thing if they want to use like an Iron Cross kind of thing. So we got Assault Gun Battalion. So there's the other artwork for that. And we got one more group of cards to take a look at. Here we go. Here we've got some reference cards for the 5 players. So we've got our turns as well as our symbols. It's interesting. I find some of these companies who make card games, the print is really small because it's almost as if they're like, well, only kids or younger people are going to play these games. I mean, that print is awfully small. I can't make that out. I would have to actually hold that card up in front of my face to be able to read that. All right, so we have, there's a card for the Barbarossa limited edition. It's 1876 out of 2000. All right, so now we're going to get some rare cards, I would guess. Hans Guderian, Friedrich Paulus, von Marston, field repair units. Now there's a few of those. Railway construction. The Wehrmacht's Fury. Deep Mud. General Zhukov. A couple of those. Russian Rifle Corps. Russian Guards tanks. I was going to say, there's got to be units that you're fighting. There's got to be somewhere in here. So Disavow 92 says when they worked in the game industry, certain companies couldn't sell Axis and Allies on store shelves in Germany. You had to ask for them because of the packaging. Yes. That was one of the games that came immediately to mind that had the swastika. So, okay, so we've got some fortified hills, strategic position. Looks like we use the same art for that a lot. Okay, so here we go. Now we've got some cities and towns. So we got Minsk, we got Rostov, Riga, Odessa, Kharkov. Not even going to try to pronounce that. Sevastopol, Smolensk, Kiev. They're a big time now because they got like red. Leningrad, Stalingrad, and Moscow. So those are all the cards from Barbarossa, the historical photo version, which is a limited edition. It's still available. You can pick it up. as I mentioned, it does carry an MSRP of $49.99. You can get it for far less from online retailers and Amazon. Almost half off, just to mention that. I don't usually send people off to other places as opposed to the actual publisher. But in a case like this, where it's $50 on the website, but then I've seen it for, I think it was 26 and change on Amazon, brand new. I'm going to point you in the direction of Amazon. I mean, Japanime Games will still get their nut. So, all right. So we got a bunch of cards here. And this kind of looks like the sort of game that my nephew Cameron would enjoy. Because he really, I introduced him in deck builders. He really likes deck builders. And it looks like we're essentially competing generals who are going to be the person who's, going to be the one who takes Moscow. Getting rid of some of the plastic before the cats get into it. That's why past few nights when you see me doing the unboxing, I'm making sure to toss the plastic into the trash, because Pinky has a habit of enjoying to chew plastic for some reason. Smokey doesn't do that. My cat, Smokey. But so I'm going to have a review of Barbarossa in the near future. So, Flaming Aaron says, yeah, Jeff's just trying to get us the best deal. Yeah, I mean, that's what I look at. I try to point out, I don't have any affiliation with any online retailers or anything like that, except for Drive-Thru RPG. I mean, tons of people go to Drive-Thru RPG anyway. So once again, Barbarossa is from Arc Light Games, Kamikaze Games, and Japanime Games. And it is for 2 to 5 players, ages, I'm saying 13 and up, because the other edition is 18 and up. But I'm going to say it's probably 13 and up. And each game plays in about 60 minutes. I'm sure that changes depending on the number of players as well. All right, so that is it for tonight's unboxing. So I do want to mention what's coming up tomorrow and then into next week. Because, of course, if you're familiar with the Gaming Gang Dispatch, you know I don't do shows on Fridays. Tomorrow, we are going to dive on in and take a look at the latest edition of Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls from Flying Buffalo Games. So we're going to dive into this. I am going to point something out. I was bad. I was actually reading this on the train in and out of Chicago today, because it's like an hour and 30-minute ride each way. And I thought, I've always really wanted to take a look at this. So normally when I do a first look at a page through, I'm cracking the book open for the first time right there with you. It's not going to be the case. It's not going to be a review, because I have not kind of gone over some of the aspects of the rules again. It's usually what I do when I do a review for role-playing games, is I kind of try to jump back in and get into the mechanics. Even though mechanics don't matter to me, I do like to try to tell people what I think might be a sticking point or what seems a little wonky. So it's not a review, but it is a page through tomorrow. Then all next week, all role-playing games. So if you are a fan of role-playing games, you will definitely want to hang out. If you are not, I guess you got the week off. I don't know. On Monday, we are going to take a look at Reign of Terror for Call of Cthulhu, my role-playing game of choice. It's from Chaosium Inc. Then on Tuesday's show, we are going to probably be pretty light on the news. So it'll be fairly light on the news, because we're going to dive into both volumes of Horror on the Orient Express. This was I think it was kickstarted in 2014. This is not for the latest edition of Call of Cthulhu, although it's very easy to port it over. But I don't think it is. Pretty sure it's not. Pretty sure it's for what, 6th edition? Anyway, we're going to be taking a peek at that because the fine folks over at Chaosium Inc. were kind enough to send that. On Wednesday, we're going to take a peek at the 2 adventures in Does Love Forgive? Also for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium. That is actually one-on-one adventures. And then if you already saw my review for Dungeon Crawl Classics from Goodman Games, well, we're going to dive in. We're going to take a peek at Mutant Crawl Classics from Goodman Games. Once again, it's a page through, not a review. I have this I have not peeked at. All right. So Flaming Aaron says, looks like that would give you a good workout lugging that around. Yeah, this is pretty hefty. Not as hefty as the Masks of Nair Lothotep slipcase, which I think is probably the heftiest of the role-playing game releases I have. I do have quite a few. All right. Let's see. Let's wrap up in chat. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, buying PC games from third-party sellers, the company still gets their piece. They're getting their piece of the pie. May not be as big. I mean, that's why I tend to send people to the publisher's website. That's why I always show you the link of the publisher because, they get a bigger cut if you order right from them. But, if it's a toss-up between not owning a game because it's a little out of your price range or picking up that game because it's in your price range, picking up the game is always the better thing. All right. Anyway, so JPF says, well, we'll watch delayed next week and end up skipping past. Yeah, well, you'll still have the news. We'll still do the news early on, and then we will move on into the role-playing game stuff, because if you don't already know this, you probably figured this out by now. I love my role-playing games. Yes, I love board games as well, but role-playing games really are my bag of tricks. Really, really are. So just like I was kind of doing the little voice for the Deadlands news piece, that's how I am when I'm running games. Yeah, the NPCs all get different voices. All right. Anyway, that is it for tonight's show. Once again, if you like this video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Gaming Gang Dispatch airs live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Battle of the Bulge 1944 from Worthington Publishing. And I liked it. Check out the review. Everybody who watched live, thank you very much. Always appreciate people hanging out, keeping me company in chat. I know we usually have some lurkers hanging around. It's okay. You don't have to jump into chat. It's cool. Don't mind you hanging out with us. But I also know that there are quite a few people out there who don't have an opportunity to watch live. I certainly appreciate you taking time out whenever you do to give this a watch as well. I really appreciate anybody who can sit there and put up with this knucklehead for, a little over an hour, 4 nights a week. So, and Disavowed says, you can never have enough Bulge games. I don't know about that. I might disagree with you on that. All right. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night, Thursday morning, or whatever day it happens to be when you're watching this. And, of course, as I wrap up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope every one of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and everybody please wear a mask.